Badger fans, I'm excited for this one. We got a returning guest and a guy who, quite frankly, when he comes on the show, we get smarter because of it. Can't wait to get into it. Let's go on Wisconsin.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. Thank you so much for tuning in, as always, as we just continue to build this community. It is incredibly appreciated, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for always tuning into this. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. And we got a great one today, so we're just going to jump into it. For the second time on the show, Coach Napoleon Sykes out of Lawrenceville, New Jersey. Transformational coach. I want to start there. It's in your Twitter bio. What does it mean when you say transformational coach?
I'll try and keep it as short as possible, but the coaches that I came up learning under, I was a soccer kid and started playing football in 7th grade. And the head coach at the time was Biff Poggi, who's now the head football coach at Charlotte at my high school at Gilman in Baltimore. And then our defensive coordinator was Joe Ehrman. That was part of the Colts defense, some of the great defenses. And there was a book written about it, Season of Life. I currently work for Joe's company, Inside Out Coaching. And really what that does is, the transformational coaching is all about coaching the whole person, not just a football player, right? So I talk to kids all the time about our program, and what I tell them in families is football's, kind of one of the smaller things that we do here. And really what we're really devoted to is just trying to, shape young men and young women into leaders in their community. Right. And so we talk a lot about, being a good dude. We have one team rule, which is be a gentleman. Right. And so if you are about to say something, tweet something, think something, do something, that you would give pause and think, would a gentleman do that? Obviously, it's probably something you shouldn't be doing. So that's really what transformational coaching is all about. I've been fortunate enough to coach with a lot of those guys throughout my career and have an opportunity to be the head coach here and, fill a staff with a lot of people that see it the same way I do.
That's awesome, man. And there's a lot of coaches, there's a lot of people that don't always share that philosophy.
Yeah.
And you're in a position, obviously, to impact a lot of young men. So I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
Let's speak about one of those young men. You are on the show again because another of your players has committed to the Badgers, Samuel Lateju, 6'5", 230-pound outside linebacker, maybe defensive lineman in the future. I just want to start here. When you realized it was going to happen, he was going to commit to Wisconsin, what was your initial thoughts?
I was excited for him. I try to – my wife, I give my wife a shout out. My wife was a much more accomplished collegiate athlete at Wake Forest. She was a volleyball player. But we've got really close with our kids here. And we always say, we've done our time. I've played college football and had that experience. So on this end of it is just trying to, kind of help kids navigate it, not push them in a direction, just tell them what to look for, just try and help guide them through the process. So this one was, really a lot on Sam, just trying to find a place that check the boxes for him in Wisconsin. Like I said, last time, did a great job recruiting Raph, but did it again with Sam, which was, just getting to know him and getting to know what he was looking for, academic, Sam wanted to be in a situation where, he'd have the best of both worlds, be able to go somewhere where the culture of the football program and the staff was, really committed to developing guys and helping them get on the field and be successful, and then flip, and couple that with a really strong academic school, and with Wisconsin being one of the top public schools in the country, it was a no-brainer for him. And so I think the coaching staff did a great job recruiting him the entire time, and really kept it about the main thing, which was just Sam. They didn't talk a lot about NIL and all these other things. It was really just getting to know him and making him feel comfortable with his decision.
And you're in kind of a unique spot. We talked about Raphael Dunn a couple times, obviously, previously when you're on the show. We've already talked about it a little bit here. You're in kind of a unique spot where they've come in and they've recruited two of your athletes, landed two of your athletes. Was that messaging between the two of them pretty consistent from the staff?
Yeah, I mean, they were awesome. I mean, the staff, and I think I said this maybe last year, but I was fortunate enough to coach college football for a while and got to coach against Coach Fickell and his staff at Cincinnati, and just the way they built that group. It is eerily the same as this group. They're getting the right kids, the kids that fit what they're trying to do. They're recruiting kids that fit where they are, and they do a really good job of just being who they are. They don't try to be something that they're not. They recruit to Wisconsin, which I think they've done a phenomenal job with these two guys on.
Well, let's talk about Lateju a little bit more scouting report. Obviously, the frame just jumps off the film. We're going to turn on the film in a little bit. You can see that. What maybe else is under the hood there that maybe a fan isn't going to see just watching the whole film or seeing the frame?
Yeah, I think one of the things from a football standpoint is he knows a lot more football than you would think, a kid that hasn't played very much football. And a lot of it is just learned here. We do a lot, and we try and teach them as much football as possible, just so that when they do land and they get where they need to go, they're not in deep water from a terminology standpoint and a football IQ standpoint. So I think he's, for a guy that is super polished and have as many physical reps, mentally he's well ahead of a lot of guys. I think the other thing is that he's literally one of the best kids ever. I mean, when you get to meet him and you get to talk to him, he's awesome. I mean, he is a big dude, and it's really funny. Right now, he's staying with us for spring break, and I have a 10-year-old Bodie, a 9-year-old Noah, and then we have a 2-year-old Grace. And just watching him hang out during the day with Grace, who definitely runs the show, and he follows behind like a little shadow. I mean, he's just a phenomenal kid.
That's awesome, man. I can see you light up when you talk about him, smile. Yeah. Those are the type of kids. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you need those type of kids in your program to build.
Yeah, 100%. And I think everybody's talking about the state of college football and all that stuff. I think, the neat part about what Wisconsin's going to get out of Sam and Raph is that they're really loyal kids, and they were really looking to find a spot that they could be for 4 to 5 years, and those guys are fired up and committed to Wisconsin, you know what I mean? And so I think in this new era of college football and how it works, you're getting two guys that are kind of focused on the main thing, which is neat.
Let me ask you this. Do you think college coaches are going to be looking for that more and more, trying to maybe find guys that, hey, I think this guy is going to, for whatever reason, be that loyal guy who's going to be in the program looking for the right thing?
Yeah, I think talking to quite a few guys just over the winter, we had a lot of guys come through, and a lot of guys are starting to really look at the recruiting piece. If you're at ACC school and you're a high academic school, is trying to find a kid that really does value a degree from your school, right? And trying to find ways to find the kid that that probably fits a little bit better, may not be the caliber of player that you want right now, but you'll be able to develop that kid, and they'll come in and be a great locker room kid, and they'll work, and they'll go through adversity and kind of tough it out. And I think the kids that do tough it out, and this won't ever change, I don't think, is the kids that do tough it out and work through things and push through walls end up being really good players down the road, and the guys that maybe bounce around and don't face some of that stuff and face it later in their career. It's hard, when it's hard in life, just in general. The first time you face adversity is deep down the road, it's tough when you haven't done that. So I think, for sure. I think a lot of guys are going to, in this, new era, everybody's trying to feel it out and see how to do it the best way, but trying to find more than ever the right fit for your program and your school.
How big of a deal was it to have Raphael Dunn there first for Sam?
Yeah, I think it was huge, and I think Wisconsin, again, I give a ton of credit to the staff, just their persistence and the way that they recruited both of those kids in a way that they turned up the heat and recruiting without making those kids feel like they were pressured. It was more that they felt like they really wanted them and they really loved them. But I think like, the icing on the cake was very much that Raph was going to be there. And the cool part, like we've, not to turn this into a Raph show, but like, kind of a testament to both of those kids. When you talk to Raph about this whole process, he was very much in the camp of like, hey, Sam, like you got to go and do what's best for you. Like I'd love to spend like the next couple of years together again, but at the same time, like, I want you to feel like you're making the best decision for you, not just because I'm there. So like, the guy that kind of, it was the old push him away to get him to come home kind of deal with Raph. And so he was definitely a guy that went through the process and kind of helped Sam out with what to expect and those kinds of things. So I think he did a great job too.
That's awesome. We're going to take a quick break for our friends of the show. Come back with Coach Sykes. We're going to run out of time before questions, Coach, which we always do.
Yeah.
But we're going to put the film up and talk a little more scouting on Lateju. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show over at Game Time. Game Time remains the number one source for all your tickets. Whatever you need for entertainment, go to Game Time. Use the code Locked On for $20 off if you want sports tickets, entertainment, concerts, Broadway shows, theaters, whatever it is. You go to Game Time, you download the app, you create an account, and you get the best tickets for the best price. It's win-win. It saves you time. You get to go to the things you want to go to, right? You can use it as a gift. Go gift the tickets to somebody in your life, something they want to do, and you save money on it. But they don't got to know you save money. They can think you balled out on them. So it's a win-win in that scenario too. Go over to Game Time, snake the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your purchase. Terms to apply. Again, you create the account. Redeem the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Again, download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Locked On for $20 off. All right, let's get Coach back in here and just continue the conversation. And once again, Coach, very, very grateful for your time. I want to give you an opportunity. Where can people follow you, your program, what you got going on?
Yeah, like on Twitter, we're pretty active on Twitter at like Coach Bo Wins, and then at Elville Football, and then we're the same handle on Instagram. Just trying to keep up with us if we're always up to something. So
I love it. I want to finish up. I keep talking the scouting report for Lateju. And I'm going to bring up the comments. Like I told you, we had a couple people that submitted comments or questions. Yeah. These are some of the reported numbers: 6'5", 230, 4'7", 40, 38-inch vertical, benching over 300, squatting over 400. Playmaker 127, it says if these are the numbers as a junior, this dude is going to be an effing beast. What is the upside when you look at the physical frame here and the size?
Yeah, I think I always tell Sam, I'm like, Sam, dude, there's a chance you could be 275 pounds by the end of this, and like he works really hard, he eats well, he does all those things, he treats his body really well. But as everybody knows, once you get to a college, weight strength program, a nutrition program where, they're building your body in a different way than you do at the high school level, like he's going to have a chance to be really big. I think naturally he'll probably show up in that like 245, 250 range next year in a year and a half when he gets there. But yeah, I think physically there's a lot of growth still left in him.
And one of the comps I threw your way, and this was before the show, he kind of reminds me just from the frame and the arm size to Alden Smith, being able to control the tackles, keep people at arm's length. That's something Alden Smith did exceptionally well. Is there any players, either college, pro, someone you coached before, like who else does he maybe remind you of?
Yeah, I mean, like, you look at some of the guys. Alex Highsmith is a different cat. I worked with him at Charlotte for a little bit. And then like some of those guys down there, he's really good at using his length, and like where he's not as polished in some of these other areas, he naturally, which is good because sometimes you got to try and get kids to keep people at arm's length away. He naturally does that. I mean, he's got really, really long arms. They're something like 34-inch long arms or something, 11-inch hands. So I mean, he's a big dude that really can put his hand on a tackle and do some damage.
I'm gonna put the film up here, and we're just let a couple clips play. You talk through a little what you're seeing on defense, what you're seeing from him, and if you're listening to this on the podcast, we'll still talk through what we're seeing. But if you're on YouTube, you should be able to see the clips.
Yeah, so we've not to get about all our good stuff, but this is a really cool snap right here. I mean,
go back on it then.
Yeah, we do a couple things with our edge rusher. We call that guy the rush. Wisconsin, I think, uses him as the jack. But we do a lot of different things where we bring him from a 9 all the way down to a 3 technique, or from a 5 to a 3. And so like this right here is one of those things that we like to, really take our 3 technique and our 5 technique, stun them inside. You can see that Will linebacker is coming out there as a C-gap player. And if we can, with a long body on the edge, slip him through the B gap, that's pretty tough for our running back right there. You can see that running back there is a really good football player. It's hard for those guys to protect the B gap when it's moving away from them. So Sam does really good at that. Like we try to do that as much as we can to shorten the edge for our wills. But he's got that little old school dance there.
I love it. The energy jumps it up. He's got that on several clips, man. I love energy on defense.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we'll play the clip and then we'll roll it back so you can talk through it.
Yeah, that's just a really good physical play, right? So like what we started to get this year, this season, like as a defensive coach that likes to blitz, it sucked because we had such bad weather. So we had a lot of teams that run the ball. But what people started to do really was try to move the tackle away from Sam and then chip him with the slot. And this play is really good, just having good recognition, knowing that there's a nasty split by number 2, being able to take on that block and still keep contained.
One of the things I noticed about him, it's wild because when you read about his football experience, and you brought this up, he hasn't played a ton of organized football. Right, yeah. It's a couple of years essentially of organized football. There's a lot of stuff he'll do. There's some zone read option stuff on the film where he does a great job of breaking down. It feels like naturally he understands the game.
Yeah, for sure. It's a pretty neat deal because he just like there's some stuff that like you don't have to explain it to him very many times. You can kind of like, hey, look, when the tackle goes away, take the air out of it. And he's like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of stuff that he naturally just picks up.
Let me ask you this as a coach, because people always talk about cerebral players when it comes to safeties, quarterbacks, centers. You don't hear people talk about defensive linemen, outside linebackers as much from that aspect. How is that unique for Lateju?
Yeah, I think, in this scheme, you kind of have to because our outside linebacker, that rush position for us, you got to do a lot. So like, you're not always on the edge. Sometimes you're playing man-to-man on a number 2. Sometimes you're a seamer. Sometimes you're a flat player. You play inside the tackle. Sometimes we get you down in the A. Like there's a lot going on. And so really at that position it's one of those positions where you got to put your eyes in different places to be really effective at that job. So like we asked that guy to do, from layman's eyes, it just looks like he's just beating up on a tackle. But at that position, we asked him to do a lot of different things. So he, for a guy that hasn't played a lot of football, he's picked up on that stuff really, really good.
Run a couple more clips here. We won't be able to do this whole thing for sure, but this is awesome to be able to have somebody break this stuff down.
Yeah. So right now we're playing like a little bit of contain. We're keeping that Will inside of the box. So like, if you go back, I don't know if you go back to that, like, oh, you were,
yeah, it could be this next one here.
So we get some of this fly sweep motion stuff against him this week. And so we wanted to keep the Will in the box here, but keep the edge contained on that fly sweep with our edge rusher here. So he does a great job. Against this group, we wanted the quarterback to carry the ball. So game plan wise, we really wanted to force the quarterback to carry the ball this week and not hand the ball off, just because we felt like interior defensive line wise, we had an advantage. So this is really good on Sam's part of just keeping contained, widening the B gap, which we would like to do just to force that guy down in there.
The size is also just evident here.
Yeah, just being able to he could touch 2 rooms.
Again, we'll play through it and then we'll talk through it.
Yeah, this was a cool. I mean, this kid right here, I'll give him a shout out. Cam Howard. He's going to Trinity, a D3 school. The quarterback here from Hotchkiss is a absolute baller. And so for this week, we knew he's a really athletic guy. And so we had to keep this guy in the pocket if we could, right? So we told him all week we got to go speed, power, and then convert right away. And so that's him. Like Brendan on the outside here, that's the defensive end to the field. He's going to Stanford. Was really good this week of just trying to keep that guy in the pocket. Cam's awesome. Like we battled him for 2 years. He's a really good player. But yeah, Sam right here, this is a really good rep of speed to power, right? Get a really good get off, attacking an edge on that guy and then keeping an arm free and finishing.
And that's where that length comes into play too. Yeah. Not a lot of people can do that.
Yeah, like I think one of these things I kind of learned it from, Chuck Pagano used to always say it is like, sacks, everybody likes sacks, you know what I mean? And you're like, all you need to do is just get the quarterback to tuck the ball, right? So like if you can have really good length on the edge and get like right here, Sam and Brendan, right, with that extended arm just gets Cam to just tuck the ball for a second. Now it gives everybody inside a chance to get home too. So like this is really good. Like you want sacks, but it's figuring out how you get sacks, which is getting the quarterback to actually tuck the ball.
I love it. Let's do one more clip here. And again, I could do this all day, man, but
yeah.
I'm not going to take all your time.
Oh yeah, you're good. Yeah, that's that pirate stunt again, right? So like just doing a good job of and so with the pirate stunt, we have a couple ways that we allow these guys to do it, right? So right here you can see him step with his left foot like he's getting upfield and give him like a hokey pokey. We call it a hokey pokey, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? To go through the B gap. So this is really nice. Him doing a good job of setting up this pirate stunt for himself here. And I think that I want to say if that's Penn Charter, I think that running back's going to Minnesota, so you might see him a couple times.
Oh, let's go! I love seeing that guy get buried. Let's go.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, we're going to stop there because we're going to take one more quick break. We're going to go back with the rest of the questions y'all submitted for Coach Sykes, including one from Raphael Dunn. We're going to talk about that coming up next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show over at eBay Motors. eBay Motors remains the number one source for all your car parts. Whatever you need, you can find over on eBay Motors, and it's faster, it's easier, it's simpler. You don't have to go to the store, and some guy doesn't really want to be there, and they may not even have the part you need in their warehouse, so he's going to give you the best they got. Your ride or die deserves better than that. I know mine does. If you go over to eBay Motors, they have over 122 million parts. That's about how many rushing yards Melvin Gordon had in his career at Wisconsin. That's how many parts they got at eBay Motors. That's all for your number one ride or die. You find exactly what you're looking for with eBay Guaranteed Fit. You're not burning cash, you're burning rubber. They have all the parts you need, the right prices, guaranteed fit. Keep your ride or die alive over at ebaymotors.com. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Eligible items only, exclusions do apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. The right parts, the right fit. eBay Guaranteed Fit. You're not going to go wrong. eBay Motors. All right, let's get Coach back on and finish up. Again, Coach, I really, really appreciate it. I want to bang on some of these comments and questions we got quick. The first one is, how do you project, this is from Enzo, how do you project Lateju and Dunn in college? How soon do you see them contributing?
Yeah, I think early, like Raph is Raph is going to go play that dollar position, right? And so like we've actually been working on a lot of that stuff here over the last couple months. Just working. We actually, the year before, he played a little bit of that here, but he's like ready made for that position. Same deal with Sam is, guys that are really comfortable in space with length, and so like I think both of those guys have a really good shot. I think Sam, if we're just talking about Sam too, I think he's gonna, if you watch him over the last 2 years, he just gets better each week, and so like, which is really neat, and so like going into year 3 for him, I expect him to just continue to get better and better. Like some of the things that we've talked about in the off season, working on is being more consistent with playing with your eyes where they need to be, right? Like the natural instinct of an edge rusher sometimes is to look at the quarterback, with defensive guys in general. Like it's to look into the backfield, playing in the backfield, but just doing a better job. And he just gets better every week. So I think, as he gets on campus in Madison, he's just going to continue to grow.
This one's from Probst. What do they need to do to work on? How do they maximize their potential? What's the next step for both of them?
Yeah, I think the next step is, really just learning the defense, right? And I think, getting an understanding of what exactly they're doing there. A lot of it is going to be some similar muscle memory to what we do here. It'll just be like the new terminology. And I think both of those guys, really just any high school player, once you get a chance to like build your body like an adult, that's different. Like I always try to explain to people, like, these are adults. When you get to college, that's a different kind of strength and conditioning and different kind of body. After a year in, you're going to see, two guys that are looking at completely different than what they did a year before.
This one's from Raphael Dunn. You may know him. Said, "Oh yeah, ask him, what position do you see your kids playing, and where do you think Sam and I will play in the NFL?"
Wait, so my kids?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So Bodie is my 10-year-old. He's about to be 11. And like they both are really, really good at soccer, but they're really good football players. I think he's going to end up he's huge. And so I think he's going to end up being like a tight end. He likes scoring. He likes when people celebrate when he scores touchdowns. Once upon a time, he wanted to be a quarterback, but I think he wants to score. And then my 9-year-old Noah is 100% going to be a DB. Like he is like a DB to the core. Like he's always talking trash. He's always like, it's all about swag. You know what I mean? Like, and then I don't know, my 2-year-old Grace, I think she's gonna be a wrestler. We're trying to get her in a wrestler. So if any boys come around, you got a full Nelson coming for you.
I love it.
So like, yeah, where they're gonna play in the NFL? Like, I don't know, dude. Like, who knows? Who knows? I like, I'm a big Ravens fan, so we'd always love to have them in Baltimore.
No, that's awesome, man. Coach, as always, I am very, very appreciative of your time. I think we're smart. We are smarter because you were here, so thank you so much for that.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, of course, man. And who's signing with Wisconsin next from Lawrenceville?
I don't know. We've got a young kid that everybody's trying to come get with Colt Lumpers. He's a freshman right now, but he's another like 6. He plays safety for us, so he played free safety next to Raph. He's a 6'5", 215-pound kid, but I think eventually he's going to be like, I think he's going to end up being an edge rusher too, or a tight end. Like, there's no chance that kid ends up in the secondary, but yeah, a lot of people are excited about him too.
Dude, you get so many 6'5" guys in your defense.
yeah. Some long bodies. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. He is Coach Sykes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, as always. Really do appreciate you guys. Go follow Coach. Follow what they're doing at their program as well. Talk to you tomorrow on Wisconsin.